Thandi believed her life had only just begun. She still remembered the way Sipo smiled on their wedding day, nervous and proud at the same time, his hands trembling slightly as he slipped the ring onto her finger. They were young, full of plans, and certain that tomorrow would always come. They spoke about children often, how their first would run barefoot in the yard, how Sipo would teach them to ride a bicycle, how Thandi would sing them to sleep. Their home was small, but it was warm with laughter and hope. Then, sickness came quietly, like an uninvited guest that refused to leave. Sipo grew thinner by the day. Thandi watched helplessly as the strength drained from the man she loved. She prayed harder than she ever had before, kneeling on cold floors, whispering his name through tears. When he died, the world did not end loudly. It ended in silence, a silence so deep it felt heavier than noise. At the funeral, in their rural village in KwaZulu-Natal, people spoke words meant to comfort her, but they floated past her like smoke. Thandi stood dressed in black, staring at the mound of earth that now held her future. She was a wife without a husband, a mother without a child, a young woman suddenly expected to be strong when she had nothing left inside her. After the mourning period, Thandi was taken to Sipo's family home. She thought it was for support. She believed she would be allowed time to heal. Instead, tradition rose like a wall around her. One evening, as elders sat in a circle, they spoke calmly about what must be done. Sipo's younger brother, Themba, would take her as his wife. It was the way things had always been done, they said. It would keep Sipo's name alive. It would protect her. It would protect the family. Thandi's chest tightened. She lowered her eyes, her voice barely audible as she asked for time. She was still grieving. Her heart was still buried with her husband. But tradition, they reminded her gently at first, did not wait for tears to dry. Days turned into weeks, and the gentle reminders became sharp words. In the household, she felt herself changing from daughter-in-law to problem. Food was served last, chores multiplied. Conversations stopped when she entered the room. She heard whispers at night, calling her stubborn, ungrateful, disobedient. Thandi tried to explain that she was not refusing out of disrespect, but out of pain. Sipo's name still lived in her chest. How could she marry his brother while his voice still echoed in her dreams? No one listened. Eventually, exhaustion won. When Thandi agreed to marry Themba, it was not out of love or peace, it was surrender. The wedding was quiet, almost ashamed of itself. No laughter, no songs. Thandi stood beside Themba, feeling like a shadow of herself. She told herself that maybe obedience would bring calm. Maybe if she endured, life would soften. It did not. From the beginning, Themba treated her like something he had inherited, not chosen. His words were sharp, his temper unpredictable. Some days he ignored her completely. Others he reminded her that she owed him her life. Thandi learned to read the air in the room, to know when to speak and when to disappear. The abuse did not start loudly. It crept in slowly. Harsh insults, control over where she went, who she spoke to, how long she stayed away from the house. His anger turned terrifying. He blamed her for everything, for Sipo's death, for the family's problems, for his own anger. At night, Thandi lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering how love had turned into this prison. She felt shame for surviving a marriage that had killed her spirit. She felt guilt for wishing she could disappear, yet somewhere deep inside, a small voice refused to die. One afternoon, while fetching water, she met Nomsa, a woman from the nearby village. Nomsa noticed the sadness Thandi carried like a second skin. When Thandi finally spoke, the words came out broken and trembling. Nomsa did not interrupt. She did not judge. She only listened. "You are not cursed," Nomsa said softly, "and this is not your destiny." Those words stayed with Thandi. They followed her back into the house. They echoed in her mind during the long nights. Slowly, courage began to grow where fear had lived. The breaking point came on a night when Themba's anger turned terrifying. Thandi realized then that if she stayed, she would lose more than her happiness. She would lose herself completely. Before dawn, with shaking hands, she packed a small bag. Nomsa was waiting. With help from a local women's shelter and a pastor who believed that life mattered more than custom, Thandi left. Each step away from the house felt like walking through fire, but also like breathing after being underwater for too long. Starting over was not easy. Thandi had nothing, no money, no certainty, only courage. She found shelter, then work. She learned to smile again, slowly, carefully. Healing came in waves. Some days she cried without knowing why. Other days she felt strong enough to dream. Years later, Thandi stood in a small garden behind her own home, watching the sunrise. She was still a widow, she was still healing, but she was alive, free, whole. And she knew now that tradition should never demand a woman's suffering, that love should never hurt, and that even after the deepest loss, life can begin again.